This one's going to be really challenging to explain, really challenging to describe, but I'll do the best I can and try to put the pieces together. And before I get into that, Bashar's message on regarding the presidential election really blew up on the internet, and it's gone almost viral, and it's put Bashar's name out there even more, you know. Still very conflicted on this message because I can't seem to mentally comprehend how Kamala Harris will prevent World War III. The only thing I can think of is her lack of intelligence will contribute to that, and why necessarily is she gonna be the one to lead to open contact, supposedly? It's a very strange thing to me. Like I said in the prior video, guys, as far as I'm concerned, the BRICS are meeting together right now. The BRICS nations, they're already unveiled something that would make the petrodollar absolute. So the plan is already in place to disengage the Western world from the rest of the world economy. The plan is already in place regardless of who's in office. Now, I will say this, that I think it is more likely, though, that if Trump wins, that there will actually be a civil war. But still iffy on that one. I don't know. I did also mention that Israel will bomb Iran right before the election, and really got a confirmation of that because of the supposed intelligence leaks, leaking their plans, okay, as to what they're gonna do. I believe this was a purposeful leak of information, not just some disgruntled insider, so that they can manipulate things and really plant it to the mind of people that they will do it right before the election. I speculate on the 1st or the 3rd of November, or the day of the election itself. Yeah, the plan is in place regardless. How's it going, Mackenzie? Yeah, but this dream, I really felt like I had a whole lifetime that I lived in. And you're not, it wasn't a linear progression of things. Like it started off in what appeared to be linear. I felt myself as a child, and I was growing up, and I was in some kind of a school that looked like, I don't know, like a boarding school from New England, like one of those, classy, fancy, boarding schools, and with, people that were dressed in kind of boring vintage attire. And this school kind of just like came and went in a whirlwind. And I found myself in this really strange looking town with hanging lights. The lights were just like hanging on strings on every street. And the streets were like lopsided and angled in strange ways. And the houses that were on these streets had like these odd, non-symmetrical shapes to them, and colored in all kinds of bizarre strange colors. And I mentioned that as Dr. Seuss, it looked like some kind of Doctor Whoville type place. And it was really interesting. And the people there, they all kind of appeared small to me, like not like midgets. They were like just short, like humans, but half the size of a human is the impression that I got. But other than that, they looked very much like humans. And amongst these streets, there was these like colorful banners everywhere depicting different artwork of all kinds. And it looked like it was situated on a mountain. And the mountain had all these really tall spires around it. Like really trying, like I've seen this before in dreams too, where I've seen like these strange mountains that were almost like this triangular shape that pointed directly upward, and they were surrounding this town. And the sky had like this orange purplish type of color. There was only two types of vehicles that I saw driving. Okay, there was like this one of those weird like open air bus things that drive like in Universal Studios, like those long vehicles that you just walk into without any doors or windows, and they have like two separate parts to them. Those things were like driving around. Or I saw like this tricycle or a three-wheeler, like a three-wheeler that you would see from the 80s. Like one of those with the big tires, like two big tires in the back and one in the front. And there's only those two types that people were driving, and it was it kind of looked ridiculous, but I loved it. So I'm just kind of going about the motions of the dream. I remember having a dog in the house I was living in. The house was all completely made out of this bright, shiny wood inside. There were pictures, frames. There was large windows with like kaleidoscope colors. They weren't like clear windows. They were like something you would see in like a Gothic church. Like they were windows with all kinds of colors on them. And my dog looked like a dingo. It looked like an Australian dingo. It was like kind of a wild looking dog. So I had this dog, and it was like a communal living like situation. Very communal living like situation where there was a giant bed and like 10 people slept on this bed. Okay. Weird, I know, but I remember distinctly actually falling asleep and being around like like the seven dwarves on a bed, and were kind of like dwarves too. It was good. It was beautiful though, because this entire place, this entire dream gave off this aura of like sweetness and innocence to it, and just like this simple type of beauty and expression. And I would go to work, and so everyone worked like in these mines, and they would take the weird train bus like things, and they would take them to these massive open pits. And for whatever reason, you wouldn't stay long in any mine. You were there for a very short time. Then it would pick you up and it would take you to another mine, which these were like on different mountains. So these mountains all around here. It'd take you on a different mountain. You would spend a little time there and go home. Hey, Texas Danny, long time no see. How's it going? And that was the life. There was, a very, very familiar soul in this dream. Um, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl that I've seen in other dreams, and it's a soul that I've seen without a shadow of a doubt in other lives, that had this intense sense of familiarity to her. And there was definitely a very close bond there, very, very close bond there. And hopefully at some point I'll figure out who she is, because I've seen this very same soul. Sometimes she would look a little bit different, but I could tell who it is by the soul signature, because remember, everyone has a unique frequency, everyone has a unique harmony that they're expressing through their soul, and you can tell who they are from that harmony, not from their appearance. And so I've seen the soul many times throughout my life, but never in this planet. Never seen her in this lifetime. But yeah, I mean, that was about it. I remember taking one of those three-wheelers and meeting with some friends, and they specifically said, we're gonna go to Lake Superior. And I'm like, oh, that's odd. We're gonna go to Lake Superior. And as we drove on this very strange, narrow road, with these like massive concrete barriers on either side. This little three-wheel thing, it was a very dark road. And we drove it to what I guess is Lake Superior, and it was a very large lake. And that was about it. There was all kinds of other stuff going on, but like I said, I can't put two and two together. It was not linear. It was not really coherent. It was very jumbled, and there's a few parts I don't really remember, but it was a cool reality to experience, you know. I woke up here again, and well, to this lovely place, and that's fantastic, right? Sarcasm. All right.